And welcome back to Noon Edition. Dr. Bill Angel of OSU Lima is our guest today. And a lot of things are happening in Washington, but you kind of wanted to focus first of all on the impeachment, which is coming up for President Biden. And this is kind of coming out of nowhere because a lot of people thought they were just going to let him pass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't have much to say about it because, I mean, they had an impeachment inquiry, but they called witnesses who contradicted what the inquiry was about. They could find no evidence that there had been any link between Hunter Biden's issues and relationship to foreign businessmen and so forth and Joe Biden. There was no smoking gun, in other words.
Right.
And so it got me to thinking is that since 1974, the Nixon impeachment, we've gone through a series of these impeachments. We've had, of course, Nixon, followed by Clinton in the 90s, followed by the two Trump impeachments in 2020. And so why is this happening? And particularly since it seems to be kind of off the wall and almost like to score political points and not serious about what impeachment is.
I think a lot of Americans feel like, why do we bother wasting our time on these impeachments? Don't these politicians have some real serious issues that they could really be working on? Because this doesn't remove him from office in any way, so it's just kind of a sideshow. Yeah,
well, it's interesting you say that because in the midst of the Nixon impeachment issue, C. Vann Woodward, who was a historian of the South, looking only at the one we had to go with was the Johnson impeachment from 1868. That is Andrew Johnson. And he said impeachment should be placed in the dustbin of history because he saw no use for it. It was so restrictive and difficult to toss up a president out of office that he thought it was totally useless. And the thing is, you know, I've been reading about Watergate, this book here by Garrett Graff called Watergate, A New History, is that people took it serious in Nixon. It took it serious in Nixon, and eventually you had bipartisan support for the idea of impeachment. But since that time, it's been kind of a heavily partisan thing. It was partisan directed against Clinton, and it was certainly very partisan against Trump. So the question is there? What do you do if you get a stinker of a president who does not observe the protocols and the restrictions of the Constitution? And that's what the framers were really concerned about when they wrote the article, was what do you do when you get somebody who has authoritarian tendencies and might actually disrupt the checks and balances system and the texture of our Constitution?
Well, last night we saw something very unusual. First time it's ever happened in this country. We saw the Speaker of the House completely removed of his duties. That one, I think Gates was using somewhat as a political pawn because he just wanted to get him out of there because he felt like he was disrupting the work they wanted to get done.
Yeah, well, Kevin McCarthy made a serious error on Sunday morning when he went on talk shows and started to blast Democrats who had supported him on the passage of the budget resolution and were willing to maybe give him a pass. They'd given him a pass before and give him a pass on this order to vacate. But after he blasted them and blamed them for his troubles, when his real troubles were a result of radicals in the Republican Party, you know, the Democrats said, "Well, sorry, you're on your own, kid," and decided not to support him as they had in the previous in 2021 when he was going through his troubles. They decided, no, we're not going to do this.
Interesting times we live in, that's for sure. A lot of crazy things are happening in Washington particularly, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. Thank you for your time today, Bill. Always a pleasure to discuss politics with you.
You bet. Thank you.
Dr. Bill Angel, our guest today, and we'll have a look at today's medical section coming up next.